The story about it, Ethan. 3 years ago, I wasn't just struggling, I was barely surviving. Every single day was a grueling battle. I worked exhausting, back-breaking shifts at a local grocery store in Dallas, Texas. The bills were constantly piling up on my kitchen counter. My rusted car was on the verge of completely falling apart, and every meager paycheck vanished into thin air before the month even properly began. I felt trapped in a never-ending cycle of financial stress. Then came one cold, rainy evening that changed everything. It was just a few minutes before closing time. The store was quiet, save for the heavy sound of rain drumming against the glass windows. That's when a weary-looking woman stepped into my checkout line, holding the hands of two small children. Her clothes were visibly worn out and faded. The kids looked completely exhausted, their eyes heavy with sleep. With trembling hands, she placed her meager items on the conveyor belt: a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, a pack of diapers, and a few cans of soup. The absolute bare essentials. When I scanned the final item and told her the total, I watched the color completely drain from her face. Her expression turned entirely pale. She opened her wallet, nervously checking her cash. Then she checked it again, hoping she had miscounted. But the reality was brutal. She was short by almost $40. As the seconds ticked by, the people waiting in line behind her started getting noticeably impatient. The atmosphere grew incredibly tense. One man loudly rolled his eyes and tapped his foot. Another woman shifted her weight and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "If you can't afford it, you shouldn't be buying it." The mother looked absolutely mortified. She lowered her head in pure embarrassment, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. Right beside her, her little daughter tightly hugged a tattered stuffed rabbit, fighting back tears. Seeing the sheer pain and humiliation in that mother's eyes broke something inside me. Right then and there, I made a definitive choice. Without a second thought, I pulled out my own personal debit card, swiped it with the number, and paid the remaining balance that way. It was money I barely had, but I couldn't just stand by and watch her suffer. The woman gasped, looking at me in absolute shock. "You don't have to do that," she whispered, her voice shaking. I looked at her, gave a reassuring smile, and replied, "It's okay. Truly. Take care of your beautiful kids." Tears immediately filled her eyes, brimming with a mixture of relief and overwhelming gratitude. Before gathering her bags and leaving the store, she looked directly into my eyes and simply said, "Thank you. I will never, ever forget this." Then, she walked out into the rainy night. I watched her go, fully expecting to never see her or her children ever again. To me, it was just a moment of human decency. But destiny had a completely different plan. Exactly 2 weeks later, out of nowhere, my store manager called me directly into his private office. My heart immediately sank. Given my luck, I genuinely thought I was in serious trouble or about to get fired. Instead, he looked at me with an unreadable expression and handed me a sleek, high-end business card. "Someone powerful is looking for you, Ethan," he said quietly. I looked down at the card. It belonged to one of the largest, most prestigious technology conglomerates in the entire state of Texas. I stood there, completely confused. Why on earth would a multi-billion-dollar tech giant be looking for a simple grocery store clerk? The very next day, driven by sheer curiosity and nerves, I arrived at their massive corporate headquarters. The building was breathtaking, a towering skyscraper of glass and steel that looked like something straight out of a Hollywood movie. Before I could even process where I was, A polished receptionist greeted me by name and escorted me directly to the private elevators, pressing the button for the top floor. When the elevator doors finally slid open, I completely froze in my tracks. Standing right there in the executive lobby was the exact same woman from the grocery store. But the transformation was jaw-dropping. She wasn't wearing worn-out, faded clothes anymore. Instead, she was dressed in an impeccably tailored, elegant business suit. She carried herself with an undeniable aura of power, and every single executive around her treated her with enormous, unwavering respect. My jaw literally dropped. I couldn't utter a single word. She looked at me, a warm, familiar smile spreading across her face. "Nice to see you again, Ethan," she said softly. I shook my head, my mind spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour. What is all this? I finally managed to stammer out. She let out a soft laugh. "Allow me to properly introduce myself. My name is Victoria Hayes. And this company you see around you, I own it." I felt the ground completely disappear beneath my feet. I was standing in front of one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. Victoria then explained the truth. After her husband had tragically passed away, leaving her the sole heir to the empire, she felt disconnected from reality. So, she chose to spend several weeks traveling completely anonymously, dressing in ordinary clothes and living simply. She wanted a raw, unfiltered look at the world. She wanted to see how everyday people treated others when they thought no one important was watching. "Most people ignored me," she admitted, her voice tinged with sadness. "Some mocked me. A few were openly cruel to my face. But you helped a struggling stranger without asking for a single thing in return." Then, she reached into her desk and handed me a sleek leather folder. Inside was a formal, official job offer. The starting salary and benefits package listed on that paper amounted to more money than I had ever imagined earning in my entire lifetime. It was a life-altering sum. I stared at the numbers, then looked up at her, utterly bewildered. "Why me?" I asked, my voice cracking. "I don't have a corporate background." Victoria smiled warmly, her eyes reflecting absolute certainty. "Because technical skills can always be taught," she replied. "But true, genuine character cannot." 6 months later, my life had completely and irrevocably changed. I moved into a beautiful, safe home. The suffocating mountain of debt that used to keep me awake at night was entirely gone. For the first time in my life, I had a stable, prosperous, and secure future. But through this entire wild journey, the biggest lesson I learned wasn't about the money, the corporate title, or the success. It was a profound truth that I carry with me every single day. You never truly know who someone really is behind their current circumstances. Never judge a book by its cover. And always remember, sometimes the smallest, quietest act of kindness can open the biggest, most extraordinary doors of your entire life.